Hey everybody, as I said, I might come back again, and Phil's running a little behind, but he's here. So hopefully you'll find this at some point. Back again, yes, Spencer Cron, welcome back. So yeah, so let me. This is Philip Shouse. Now, Philip Shouse has been a big friend of the channel for a while. I think this is like the fourth time he's been on, and I noticed that he's in a new project now. Rock City Machine Company. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what Phil's been up to. As you may or may not know, he's also a guitar player for the band Accept. So we'll get into what he's been up to and the new project and everything else. So without further ado, Mr. Philip Shouse, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Better late than never. And thank you for your patience, Walter.
Good. It's always cool to have you on. And as I said, shit happens, right? You never know, right?
Always a blast. And thanks for asking again, man. Always a good time.
Oh man, it's great having you on. It's great having you on. So before we get into the project, like what's been going on with Philip? I mean, I saw you were doing a North American tour, and you were kind enough to comp me some tickets, and I get the show where Mark's voice goes. So
that was the Canadian show. Yeah, that
was a Canadian show, right? Saved it up for me, but it's all right. You guys still did it. You guys still did all right, despite the circumstances. But yeah, what's been going on since? You're touring, or you're not touring, or well, you just mentioned you're in a new home. So what's going on with Phil these days?
At the moment, no. We just wrapped up 2 weeks ago the Accept European tour. That started in January. We did 30 shows in 6 weeks, and it absolutely was awesome.
Cool.
Every show was either a sellout or packed. Like we did every single one, and it was great. It was we rocked it. It was a busy schedule. I went over ahead of time, so I was gone for 2 months.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice tour.
It absolutely kicked ass. It was a great tour. And I came back on Sunday and immediately began moving out of my apartment, and only had 4 days to do that because I had a gig with another artist, with Rodney Atkins, a country guy that I had a 6-year gig with. So
right.
Accept is about to be off for about 6 months or so. So I'm going back out with Rodney. So I had to cram all this stuff in, relearn his show, fly to Phoenix for a gig, do the gig, fly from Phoenix to Savannah, Georgia to pick up the new RV/home that I'm in.
I saw that. I saw you're like, woo!
So I ditched everything and went mobile. So this is my full-time home. And I'm sitting in it right now.
Cool.
And it's part of the reason why I'm late, but yeah. So it's been an extremely compressed and concentrated 2 months that I'm just about, I think, on the other side of it. So I've got some other things to do with this, and then I can kind of unwind and relax and take a little trip in this thing and relax for a little while.
Awesome. So you get a bit of a break.
A little bit. We've got some Rodney rehearsals at the end of this month and some gigs, and then Accept goes to South America in April.
Right. Oh shit, that's not too far off, man.
So yeah, it's right around the corner, and then I get back from that, and then Rodney stuff for rest of the year. So yeah, no rest. But the crazy overwhelming times, I think, are about over.
Right. And somehow within all of that, you managed to do this Rock City Machine Company project. So
Yes,
with your buddies, Jeremy and Ryan. So yeah, so tell me a little bit about that. What the process was, how you guys decided to do this.
we had always wanted to do something original together because everything we did was always covers, whether it was the Big Rock Show, the Residency, or Gene and Ace. Always
Right.
did stuff, and we just didn't know. It's like three of us are kind of writers. Ryan probably more than the other two, us, Jeremy and I. But we know people that do that stuff, and one of the people that we know is Marty Fredrickson,
Right.
who has been at Aerosmith. All the '90s Aerosmith stuff is him. All kinds of stuff.
Did he
That's what.
did he not work with Ace too on his solo?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. On
Okay. That's where that because when I because I've been reading about the project and stuff like Marty Friedrichsen. I go, wait a minute, didn't that guy do Ace's last couple records? So
was
that's
it
the same
Space
guy.
Invaders or Space
Uh,
Invader?
yeah, or yeah,
I
yeah,
think it might, yeah. So, but he worked with Ace, and he's worked with. It's like he's got a huge, long resume, and he's a
right,
friend, and he's in Nashville, and so between that and our friendship with the guy Craig Lindsley, who's head of Lindsley Records, he told us, he goes, if you guys want to do that, we'll get with Marty and I'll put it out. So
nice,
we've already okay, great. So now all we need is songs. We've got the combination. So Ryan, Jeremy, Marty, and myself wrote 7 tunes and put a cover on there, and Marty produced it. Marty's son, Evan, played drums on it and
oh,
engineered it as well.
nice.
And it came out really, really, really great. I'm super happy with it. We all are super happy with it. We're super excited about it. And the single's out, Can't Stop the Train.
Yep,
It's
I've heard it.
first.
Yep.
I think it's going to be the first song on the record. I think in order. But that's out on all the platforms and all that stuff. So
Yeah,
everybody can
links are
check
below.
that out.
Links are below. Yeah.
And also, NASCAR is using it for the southern region. NASCAR is using it to promote a race coming up. So that's
Cool.
happening. There's talks of doing a video for the song soon, and there's an 8-tune record coming out. I don't have the dates on any of that stuff, but I know we're doing vinyl for sure.
Okay.
And again, the dates are all unclear, but all that stuff's being worked on at the moment. So there will be hard product to buy and hold in your hands and read and all that stuff.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. Well, I've heard the track a couple of times, and it's a pretty good straight up rock track. Kind of starts off the riffs a little, sort of got a little southern rock feel to it, but then it's straight rock all the way through it. So, and it's got
Yeah,
a
it has
really
kind of a Toys in the Attic kind of thing, and
got a hooky
uh,
chorus, nice bridge
yeah, it's
lead
it's
up.
a slamming, fast driving song. So it's pretty cool that NASCAR picked it up. It's like, well, I can definitely see the fit,
Yeah, yeah, and the solo on it is I from what I mean I just saw a thing with Ryan on Facebook because he's really him and Jeremy always putting stuff out talking about it, and he mentions that first part of the solo is you, and that's killer.
Jeremy played it, but I wrote it.
Yes,
Because I just kept on hearing this not pentatonic part, this kind of Richie Blackmore part.
yes,
Because to me, that part, the rhythm part of that sounded like Highway Star. It had the
right,
same kind of feel. And I was like, well, what if it was like a Blackmore thing and not just like a bluesy pentatonic thing?
right.
Because everything else is on there. So I figured this thing out. That's like, I recorded it, sent it to Jeremy and said, do you have anything for that first section in A? He goes, I got nothing. I'm like, cool. Here's my idea for it. And he played it exactly like I sent it to him. It's every part is the same.
Oh, it's really good, man. It's really good. It
So even
definitely
though I'm the
catches
bass
you.
player, I still got a guitar solo on that record.
Well, I was just going to ask you that. So, how do you guys decide? I mean, because they're all guitar players, they're all singers. I mean, how did you decide who's going to play what
It
on this
was
record?
it was it was just like we all sang. Ryan's the strongest lead voice, so it was easy. It was like, well, you're the lead singer, but we all have there's harmonies on everything. We
Right.
definitely wanted to keep that because one of the things folks like about us, Gene and Ace love, was the 3-part harmony that we do. Our voices blend really well together. And so we wanted to have that featured in all the songs, but Ryan was singing lead for sure. And then when it came to instruments, we kind of kept the Ace instrumentation. I really enjoy playing bass now. I think
cool.
I have a blast doing it. I had no qualms with, being the bass player. And I kind of like, well, I can really get my Paul McCartney on now. It's like it's an original stuff, and I can kind of come up with my own parts and that stuff. So I kind of was gun for that even more than, I don't even think I wanted to play guitar in it. It wasn't like, hey, no, let me do this. Like, no, I'm totally happy playing bass.
Cool. So as a bit of a amateur songwriter, these are questions that kind of pop in my head. Like, first of all, like were you guys ever in the same room, like writing this stuff, or was it like, here's something cool and then you send it to Ryan or Jeremy, and was it like that kind of thing, done separately and then put together? How did that go?
It was done separately, and then we got together. So when we first began, Marty set up a Google Drive, and we all had a folder. Phil ideas, Jeremy ideas, Ryan's ideas. So we all sent anything that we had that we thought was kind of cool, whether it was a title, a melody line, a chord progression, just a riff, whatever it was, we put it in there. And then everybody listened to everybody's stuff. And then we picked our favorites, and then go, oh, well, that maybe it was, oh, this part goes with that part. And then we also would get on a Zoom call and have nothing, and then just start, what about this? And then just start that. And then everybody just starts firing off that way.
Cool. And the recording, I imagine, went the same way, or were you guys able to get into a studio together? Or?
The guys were together. I had COVID.
Oh, shit.
So for pre-production, we were able to get in the same room together, which was great, because that was a lot of fun, because there we really whittled everything down and fine-tuned all the arrangements. So I'm glad I was there for that, because at that point I knew what I was going to do. So for the actual recording, I had COVID. I think it was for the first time. I had 3 times. So I recorded my stuff. They did their stuff. I got my stuff done, I think, in like a day, and just sent it back. And then the other times I was in Europe with Accept without a bass. And so they did it. And then I think Marty or Evan might have put bass on it, so there'd be something there. And then when I got back, I played, but I really didn't change anything that those guys did. So it would have been the same thing. But I was like, I want to play on it. So the same thing, I just cut at home. So.
And I mean, you were just talking about, you're with Rodney, and you got dates with him, and you got dates with Accept. Is there any room? Like, are you guys gonna do some shows under that banner and play some of these tunes, or is there no room for that?
That's going to be the thing. We definitely are. We definitely want to, and there definitely are going to. But that's going to be the juggling act.
Yeah.
Between my schedule, their schedules.
Yes.
That's going to be the thing. But yeah, we will. It'll work out at some point where we can do at least a show. Hopefully we can at least play the record release party, or maybe we'll hire somebody else to learn the best idea I've ever seen for a record release party was the Helicopters. Great Swedish band. For their last record, Eyes of Oblivion, they hired another band to learn the album and play it so they could hang out and drink. That was genius, I think.
That is genius.
So who knows? We may end up doing that if we can't make it ourselves. But no, I know we're all dying to actually like get together and figure out a way to play these songs live and make that happen.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I just want to say hello to some of these people because they were kind enough to come back for round 2 here. Spencer Cron, welcome. Papa Blue, Guitar Man 45, Mark Tanner, Pete Brown, and everyone. Thank you so much for finding me again. And
thank you. My apologies to you people too. I'm sorry.
That's all right. It's okay. It's okay. So now I'm going to really nerd out on you. So
Cool.
What
Well, I'm
what
here
kind of
for.
gear we what kind of gear are we talking about? What kind of gear were you using? Were those guys using in the studio? And okay, so first of all, were you guys using plugins? Were you guys going old school mic and amps? And what were you guys doing for that?
Plugins and Kempers.
Okay.
Yeah, it was so easy. We're all sitting there in the control room together. Evan is in the there's a you know there's a the studio we use is Marty's studio, Sienna Sound in Nashville. It's where Quad used to be. So many records were done in that room. And so there's the big room, and then we were in like the smaller room because we were just kind of we weren't like recording final. We were just kind of getting the arrangements together. So the three of us are sitting together, all plugged in. Everything's just coming out of the speakers, no headphones. And then Evan, drummer, is in the little drum room there, and we're just working it out together. And it went so quick and so easy, and we got so much done. That way, no headphones, we could all just talk. Um, and it's funny. I think everybody tells the same story that has gone that way with their guitar gear.
Mm.
Um, and I was such a hard sell on it. But once you do go that route, and once you do take the plunge and get something like that, man, it just makes everything so much easier.
Yeah.
And your tone, for me, my tone not only didn't suffer, it improved. It just and talk about, and you have every single amp, a million more than you can think of at your fingertips in this thing. And so whatever tone you need, you have it. Whether it's guitar, bass, as crazy as you want, as basic as you want, it's just a it's it's awesome. It's just simplifies everything so much.
Well, I know when I talked to you the last time and asked you the same question about, the Accept tour, what gear you were using, you were like, Kemper.
Yep, all
I
Kempers.
mean, you have and you were saying the consistency night to night, exactly what you're going to sound like. There's no question marks. It's something that you're comfortable with. It's easy,
Yep.
Yeah.
It never changes. We all just kind of dialed in some tones. Kempers. I know Marty used some plugins for the final record. I don't know what those were. I just ran DI, and then let Marty find a good bass tone. It's like I might as well not even try to do one. It sounded good, honestly. The bass I used, it was my blue bass I used with Ace, the vintage, not old vintage, but the brand vintage.
Right.
I feel like I always have to say, always have to say that.
Well, yeah, you say vintage, it could be anything. Yeah.
Ooh, what was it? No, it was a new vintage. Wait, what? New vintage? Um, it's a great bass, and I've just played that on everything. I think I played my Hofner on a couple things. I think I played the cover we did is "Ramblin' Gamblin' Man" by Bob Seger, and so I
Okay.
believe the Hofner is on that. But I think everything else I played on the um, steel string round wound bass.
Yeah, I know I know all of you. I think have a relationship now with vintage guitars. Is that what Ryan and Jeremy were using as well?
I think on some stuff, they brought their Gibsons. Ryan has a Rock and Roll Relics. I just got a Rock and Roll Relics. Not got it in hand, but today talked to them, and they're beginning my guitar, so I can't wait to get that. That's gonna be my guitar for the Rodney Atkins stuff. So I know Ryan loves his. Ryan has one of the double cutaway Johnny Thunders style. So he loves his and raves about it. So they put out a pretty couple cool things, and that looked
Yeah, they
pretty
look
cool.
great.
They put out this '70s van series that got my attention, and so I'm getting one of those. So yeah, I'm stoked about it.
That's very cool. I just want to say hello to a few more people that join us. Paul Lou, Blackjack Guitar, welcome guys. Thanks for being here. So you're mentioning you don't have a release date for that yet, and so the only real taste of it, I guess, until that is, or is that one single, or are you gonna be like putting out a single a month kind of
You
thing like some of these bands do?
I don't know. I haven't talked about that with any of the guys. If they've talked about it, I'm not sure, but that hasn't come up. Um, so I know that Ryan was getting all of the, excuse me, Ryan was getting all the everything ready for the to get to the vinyl, to get to the record pressing plant. I think we're gonna do some cool colors.
Oh yeah,
So yeah, it's gonna be so that's always fun to take out the record, put it down, and put the needle on, and you're like, I'm on that. It's still a kick, to do that.
yeah,
I don't
I
know if
can
we're gonna do.
imagine.
I don't think we're gonna do CDs. I think it's gonna be either vinyl or ones and zeros streaming. So
Streaming, yeah, yeah, yeah. So tell me a little bit about working with Marty Fredrickson, because
it was really honestly my first time working with a producer, with a real
oh,
producer.
okay,
Uh,
cool. Tell me about that
Really,
experience.
I did the Accept stuff with Wolf and Andy, and that was just like just recording some guitar solos. So that was great. This is my first time being involved with it from the ground up, from like songwriting, arrangements, recording, everything. And it's so amazing the people that can do that and do that well. And it's such a skill, that they can hear stuff and they know exactly what to put where and what goes where and what goes where. And the three of us just decided, and like, whatever, talking to Marty, it's like, whatever you decide, we're going to say, okay, we're not going to fight you on anything. It's like, you're the guy. We'd be silly to not have his advice and not take it. So he ran the show, and he was super. Everything was real productive, constructive, and yeah, it was a great experience. And it was just fun to work with somebody like him that's had all that success, and also be involved in every song, the writing, the writing your parts, everything, the arranging, the whole deal. It was a lot of fun. At almost 50 years old, I'd never done that before, so that was it was fun to
Yeah, man.
like finally get a chance to do that, because a few years ago I'd kind of abandoned this happening. I was okay with it, but it was just the real. It's like, I'm probably never going to get to do that, and it's okay. I've had a pretty good. I've had a good career, and enjoyed. But that's what you want to do when you first start playing. You want to get like in a band and do the thing that bands do. Because when I was younger and you were younger, there was bands still did stuff, and bands still were important. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Uh, and they may still be, but I don't think they are the same. But nothing's the same. But it's still fun now, that I have gotten to do. I've now gotten to do that at least once. Worked with a great producer, with my friends, and made a record that we're all really really proud of.
yeah, and you might hear that track on the radio too, and that's a whole other rush right there.
That's a whole other thing. Already, more has happened with this one song than anything else. Like we've already, and it's Ryan. Like we've already got a NASCAR placement, and it's like, wow, this is great. So it's already like, accomplishing way more than anything else.
Yeah. Well, getting
Pretty,
back
pretty
to the
cool.
songwriting thing, I remember when I had you on last, and you know, Accepta just put out a record not too long before that, and the name of the record escapes me. Too
Oh,
Mean to Die.
yeah.
Yeah. And I asked you, I said, did were you able to contribute anything? And you were saying, well, Wolf kind of had it all done, whatever. So this must have been cool, like that. You were able to exercise some writing, and get some writing recorded. That must have been a rush right there.
Yeah, because I can kind of write rock and roll like this, not easier, but that kind of stuff comes more natural to me than like metal riffs. And so, I don't think I'm giving away anything here, but the kind of Aerosmith, AC/DC, Cheap Trick kind of thing, the rock, Kiss, the rock and roll kind of
Yeah,
feel.
yeah.
Um, which is what it sounds like. It sounds like us. If anybody out there knows us and knows what we do, it sounds like us, like you think it would sound.
Hmm.
And so that kind of stuff is a lot more natural for me. Um, even like melody lines and just like turnarounds and riffs and things like that than metal. So yeah, it was fun because I don't do that a lot. I'm learning songs and playing other people's parts, for the most part. So it was a lot of fun, and it was really fun. My favorite part of the whole thing was the pre-production when we got in the room together and
Yeah.
worked with all the arrangements. Because that's kind of, I mean, writing is I can kind of throw in some things here and there, but I think I have better arrangement ideas and I can contribute more in that respect. And that was fun because we were all five in a room together and playing through everything and really, really, really fine tuning it. And that's when I realized why all the rock records that I like are as good as they are, is because they sit there and they do this, except on
Yeah.
a longer, more microscopic scale. It was like we sat there and we microscope every part, and what doesn't work gets cut. And and it's like that's why everything's so good, is because you sit there and you edit yourself and you edit each other, and that's where everything really gets honed and gets like as good as it can be.
Well, you mentioned, and having an outside voice like Marty, that must really come in handy too, because sometimes you get too close to something and you need like an outside voice that's kind of, looking at it away from you and having a, an easier time maybe than you are of saying, hey, this doesn't quite go here, or you can do something better or whatever, right?
Exactly, like, and especially a pro, like, and on the level that Marty is, it
Yeah.
was an easy, like, oh, you think that? Okay, great, we'll do that. It wasn't, it was really helpful, and the three of us, we couldn't have done it ourselves, um, from the songwriting to everything, and like Marty was at every step, so it couldn't have happened without Marty.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's. I mean, the one track is cool. If you got an album's worth of tracks like that, I can't see, because the complaint, oh, there's no good rock. Nobody's making good rock, and it's out there. You just gotta
People
look for it.
are. There's like what, Starcrawler, that there's all these young bands that are out there now. I think the Starbenders, and they're all pretty cool. I've actually begun digging into some of that stuff myself, and and for a guy that didn't like a lot of new music, and I'm a Greta Van Fleet fan.
Yeah,
Folks are
me
pretty,
too.
um, you know, spectrum on those guys, but I think they're great. Um, they mean it. It's from the heart, and there's a lot of those bands now that are getting quite popular too. Um, that really do mean it, and they're putting on great shows. They got the whole package, good songs. They look great. It's cool. It's young. It's exciting.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's happening. It's happening with younger people too, because it's good, because it has to be young and
yeah,
dangerous and exciting, and it's kind of young and dangerous, exciting again. I'm not young, dangerous, and exciting anymore. So
yeah.
that's
No,
kind of, you got to pick up. Somebody's got to pick up the slack.
yeah, exactly. So you mentioned that you don't have an easy time coming up with metal stuff. Did I gotta ask you this? All this time that you've been playing with Accept, did you find some of that kind of creeping into what you were coming up with, or was it?
Except that solo, no. It was pretty much what I always come up with, and that solo I thought was a little bit metal, on the Richie Blackmore side, kind of Eastern thing a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
European thing. Yeah,
yeah, but other than that, no, it was very British, British rock, Australian rock, the obvious, 70s kind of rock and roll feel, you know.
Yeah, and I am finding there are bands, newer bands that are coming back, but playing that style. Like you
Yeah.
mentioned Greta Van Fleet, right?
Yep.
And they are playing that style. I mean, then you got other newer bands that are just playing, like, I guess for lack of a better term, math rock, like your Polyphias and such, right? But you do have
Right.
bands that are still playing straight up rock and roll. It's out there,
Absolutely.
you know.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things, I mean, it's never good. I mean, to say rock and roll is dead, like everybody gives Gene shit about that.
Gene,
I
yeah,
understood what he meant by that, and I do believe him in the way that it's never gonna die in the sense that people are just gonna stop playing rock. That's never gonna happen.
yeah,
But rock and roll kind of, I think, being a viable art form, as in like you can put out a record, you can make a living doing that. I think,
yeah,
yeah, that's dead. Um, but people are always going to play it, and um, the people that are making a living on it now are the ones that have kind of made a living on it for decades.
yes,
There's no,
yeah,
and so we'll see how the new bands kind of fare in that, how long they last. Also, how many records they put out. That's going to be a thing, because used to a record label would let a band grow, and they'd put 3 albums out before their fourth one broke. You know, and a lot of examples are like that. You can think of many bands that were like, well, they didn't really catch fire into their fourth record.
yeah.
Now you
There's
don't
yeah.
get that many chances.
No, you get one chance.
And
Yeah,
then so and then so, but the records don't even sell, um, because it's all streaming, and they'll going to see them live. So it's going to be interesting to see how this new batch of young rock bands, and I already considered kind of Greta Van Fleet not in that. They've put out 3 records,
three. I think 3.
albums.
Yeah.
So they're already kind of past that. I think there's some new ones coming out now that's going to be interesting to see how they do.
Yeah, I think they're the exception to the rule. I mean, like using yourself as an example. I mean, you're you gotta keep busy. Most guys doing rock. I mean, you got to have multiple projects. You got to be juggling multiple balls. Right? When this isn't happening, I'm going to go jump over to that. When that's not happening, you always have to have all these projects going. Right? You got to fill out your calendar. You know.
Exactly. The days of being in U2 are done.
Yeah.
Like, and that's all you do.
Yeah.
Those days are long gone. I don't know. I don't know anybody that does one thing that's in the music business. I don't know one person that does one project and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to kind of be, um, a multitasker.
Yeah.
You have to. Um,
All
and
3 of you guys are in multiple things, right? Because I got all. I mean, I follow you guys on Facebook. Like Jeremy's got 3 Recs. I don't know what else he's got going on. You all have these multiple projects to keep yourselves busy,
yeah,
right?
yeah, and it's just that. And it's just keep the lights on, keep gas in the tank.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
you know, and luckily, I've been fortunate enough to have done that for a lot of years now, and it's awesome. And the for hire thing has been, me learning about that way to make money in music as a freelance for hire guitar player has been my 100% of my success in music has been that.
Yeah,
The band thing didn't take for me. Of course, that's what I wanted to do originally, but when I started getting this and got an audition and got the gig and then got a check in the mail, and that was like, oh wow, this is my thing.
yeah,
It was definitely. And so now it's kind of cool to do, of course, not leaving any of the gigs that I have, obviously, but it's pretty cool now to like do the band thing now, you know as a wise adult, and see with a calmer and cooler head on my shoulders and making better, wiser decisions.
for sure. I don't want to keep you too long. Let me just say hello to a few more people that showed up late. Picks and Paints. Hey, Dave, how are you? Cushman, New York City. Nice to see you. Mitch Heyman, how's it going? Cool. Thanks everybody for joining us. Yeah, I don't want to keep it too much longer. So, is there anything else you want to mention? Stuff upcoming, stuff to look out for? Of course, Rock City Machine Company. We don't have an album date, but we have a single, Can't Stop This Train, available on all the streaming services at this point. You got some vinyl coming up at some point, but anything else you want to mention?
Got some Rodney Atkins stuff this month. Next year, Accept heads to South America for a couple weeks, and then I'll be out with Rodney Atkins for the spring, summer, and the fall. So if
Oh,
anybody
wow.
sees him coming, come out to a show and say hi. I'll
So
be
I,
there
I got,
playing my new Rock and Roll Relics van guitar.
you were playing a rock guitar in a country show? What the?
It's a Southern rock. It's funny. It's like the guy Rodney. If people aren't familiar with his music, he's got six number ones, and then pretty much seven. The seven huge, absolutely huge songs. Three of those number ones, I guarantee, are being played on some country station somewhere in the world right now. They're absolutely enormous songs.
Wow.
Um,
Cool.
and so he has a big name in the country world. Of course, it's on country radio, but the band plays them Southern rock. You know, it's a Southern rock show, Southern rock band, very rock and roll. You know, I played with Rodney for 6 years, and always played a Marshall or Orange, a Les Paul at my knees. You know, it was, as able really to be myself and play like me, dress like me.
Oh, cool.
It wasn't like here's a Telecaster and hike it up to your chest.
There's a Telecaster and a cowboy hat. Yeah.
And exactly. It was not that gig. It was very free and we all could do what we wanted to. And it ends up sounding, it's just a 4-piece band and then Rodney, 2 guitars, bass and drums and Rod. So
Right.
it's very rock and roll arranged. Everybody sings. It's a fun show. We're actually putting together a new show for like May on. So we're doing rehearsals later this month and early next month. So get to put a whole new show together, and I've seen a lot of the ideas and talked about a lot of things. It's gonna be pretty rock and roll. Gonna be a good show.
Cool. I got to ask you this. Is there any, I mean, do you see any more Canadian dates with Accept so I can hear you guys with Mark singing?
Nothing is confirmed now. I know there's some stuff being worked on.
Okay.
I don't know actually where, but I know we're off for the 6-month time, and then so things in the fall are kind of being talked about, but I'll leave it at that.
All right. Sounds good. All right. So hang tight for a minute, Philip. So I want to thank everybody for watching the show. Thank you so much. I want to thank Philip Shouse once again for being an awesome guest. And I may be going live tomorrow night. I got some gear and stuff to talk about, so keep an eye out for that. And have a great rest of your Friday, everybody. And we'll talk soon. Cheers.